Sorry, guys. Give me a second. I'm gonna switch over to my desktop because it has a wired connection. My wireless is being weird. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I guess I can keep the recording thing going. Because it's
There's
recording it just fine.
When he gets back, we can get on to other stuff. But
I mean, when he gets back, we'll just get into Fallout 4 and finish. Let's finish Dishonored 2. He didn't even play Dishonored 1. So, this was gonna be a cheap and lazy edit. I'll actually have to, you think I should leave it in the podcast? I should leave it in the podcast.
Whatever.
Wow, you are so committed to getting done with this. This is so awesome. Welcome to the Endless Backlog Podcast. Bless you. This is your host, Gaghandeep Singh of the #1 amateur hour podcast, as told by me. Joining me is Ben Minkoff.
Hello.
Christopher Compton.
Yo.
William Berger.
Yo. What it is.
If we sound a little busy and in a hurry, it's because it's a little late. We just got done with day 1 of watching E3 stuff and plan on catching up. But we plan on doing podcasts again like last year. And this year I figured why not let's do most of, if not all of the press conferences again. So we'll start with Bethesda since it's the quickest and it gives Will time to actually go watch some of the stuff he missed today while he was at work at the happiest place on earth.
So everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
Some of it's not worth watching.
Yeah, well, to be fair, last year I did all the grading of the press conferences. This year it's going to be William, so he has to actually watch them this year. Whereas last year, if he wanted to be lazy and be like, I'll just go read stuff, he could. This year, it's like, you should probably...
I'm so sorry.
Watch it, because you have to watch how they present and shit. Yeah.
They can't be that long, right?
Some of them are pretty
It's
long.
like 5 hours.
Well, so, a common thing about this E3 that's even in the good demos has been certain things go on too long. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, certain demos today were like, this looks good. And then we were like, okay, they can end this now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that had to do with the fact that a lot of the games that they were showing are coming out in 2016.
Yeah.
So, we have to pad the shit out of this press conference. Just keep it going.
Yeah. Well, alright, so, first things first, Bethesda kicked us off last night on Sunday.
Right. Recording this Monday night.
Crazy, because all these people missed Game of Thrones episodes to watch that.
Not worth.
Not worth it. Fuck Game of Thrones' finale this year. Anyway.
Yo, people so angry that the show that is basically don't get too attached to the TV show was don't get too attached to the TV show.
Why are we talking about this here?
What a concept. What a concept.
This is the one time in life Ben's going to be very strict about, no, you said we're going to do this quickly and not get sidetracked.
I'm not going to spoil it, I'm just saying.
Oh, he wants to...
Whatever. Who cares?
Video games. We have to talk about
Video
Bethesda.
games are the medium of the future.
Yeah.
This is where the cultural conversation is.
Hey, I'll humor this now, but tomorrow, when we feel like going off track, you're gonna go off track with us, you son of a bitch. Anyway.
Fine.
Alright, so Bethesda decides to open with, this was the year Bethesda is more publisher than they are just Bethesda, the RPG developer. And naturally, one of their studios is id. So as a big showcase for id Tech 6, because id Tech 5 had a rough run, and basically the franchise that built id, Doom was the thing that the show kicked off with, a big FPS, big loud first-person shooter, and
Gory.
Nice and gory. So from my understanding, this was absolutely the demo from QuakeCon, the one that had a lot of the crowds celebrating, and for the most part, it's gotten a lot of positive buzz for a variety of different reasons. The demo starts with a helmet, Doom guy putting on his helmet. Initially, you think it's gonna have the Metroid Prime / Halo 4 HUD thing, where you're looking through a visor, but then it quickly becomes no, it goes away. Yeah. But Doom is Doomy. Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're in a hurry.
Okay. I mean, with Doom, watching it in the conference, I was just kind of happy that they didn't make most of the most obvious mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So, the movement is relatively fast for a modern shooter.
Relatively quick.
Yeah, relatively quick. No regenerating health, no aiming down sights, really. No hit scan enemies, so it's just melee things or fireballs or whatever, things you can dodge. So it's fast paced like that, which that's what they need. That's the baseline of what they need to do.
Yeah,
it's very no nonsense.
Yeah, it's the foundation of what made Doom special. Because like, there's great videos by both Aaron Signal and Super Bunny Hop on why Doom works so well. But the common description is that Doom is more or less a top-down shooter, but in a first-person like view, right? And that's why, because when you think about how that game works, a lot of it is just strafing and dodging and taking shots with your weapons that hit directly versus them shooting things that you can clearly dodge because it just doesn't come fast enough. Right? So, that was really good. A lot of melee kills. Like, that game was violent.
There's a part of me that likes that.
There's a part of everyone that should like that.
Because, I mean, like, I like the whole, like, stun with an attack, melee finisher concept ever since Resident Evil 4, honestly.
Yeah.
And whether it fits the gameplay here, I mean, we'll see, but, just encouraging the player to move forward, get in close.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing.
I believe, the second half of that demo, however, wasn't at QuakeCon, because it does seem like that was specifically for E3.
The hell portion?
Yeah. When they finally showed you the guy, so, a lot of things happen with Doom. The first one's ends with a big corridor romp where you're just switching guns and to a chainsaw, and then it ends with a revenant, basically
ripping off your arms
and then beating you to death with them. And then they'd go over this whole thing with the Doom multiplayer and stat map, which we'll get into that. And then the final thing is in Hell, which that's where I feel comes into our theme of some of this went on too long, and I guess it went on too long because Bethesda didn't really have a lot to show for an hour. Because it did tend to waste a lot of time.
It was a little over an hour, I think.
Yeah, Doom, I felt like we when we got to the Hell part, it was okay, we get it. What ended up looking like really cool melee finishers eventually became oh, these animations repeated already, and we're just at an E3 demo, you know. So
yeah. I mean, they're not done with the game, of course, but that's kind of one of the dangers that I think of what they showed. It's keeping that the original Doom is a very no nonsense game. There's no story. Everything is just fast.
Yeah, everything's fast, violent, and bitchin' ass guitar riff.
Yeah, and the problem with these melee finishers, and especially the chainsaw that they showed in the first part of the demo, is that you have these canned animations that can take a while.
Yeah.
Where you're not really doing anything, it's just stuff's happening. And it kind of hurts the flow. It might the chainsaw especially really hurts the flow of the game because the chainsaw kills take. It
literally comes to
just to focus on this really excessive gore that I don't know if it's as necessary as they think it is.
Yeah, the chainsaw should be just quickly slicing the. Honestly, they probably should have took a page out of Shadow Warrior's book and just given them a sword at that point.
I mean, the chainsaw is it's
whatever.
Stuff,
it's Doom classic. It is what it is. William, you're a big Doom guy. You're a big id guy.
Yeah, I am. I love me some id. I was really excited. Doom was the thing that I was really looking forward to at Bethesda's conference. I don't give a shit about Fallout, or Bethesda games in general, but I do like Doom, and I've been really excited about the fourth one for a long time. I like what they showed. I like the speed of it looks good. I like the guns that they showed. Everything sounds good. Its weapons have always felt kind of weighty, and their shotguns have always been amazing. I like that that's still there. I like the sheer amount of stuff that was on screen. At any given point for you to fight, I felt like that worked pretty well. I'm not 100% sold on the aesthetic for Doom 4.
I've seen a lot of people come to that conclusion. Yeah, a lot of people have been reacting to it something about these demons.
It's a little too grounded.
I think it's a mixture of a lot of things, though. In a weird way, I think it's too colorful.
I think
really?
Gagan and I talked about this during the conference, but it reminds me of...
It reminds you of Halo 4, is what you're trying to say. Right?
Halo 4.
And then he died.
And then he died, yeah. The inside just died, William. William, you're breaking up, so I'll go over William. When he gets back. But alright, so me and him were talking about it, and like initially we just kept thinking of Halo 4. Like the way the shotgun looked is definitely like the one in Halo 4. Chris, you played Halo 4, like it's that really like metallic looking thing, and
everything felt very shiny.
Yeah,
like
everything was really shiny, and the way the colors were.
Yeah. Maybe colorful is the wrong word, but like the
way the
bright.
colors were presented.
Yeah,
just very high
bright.
contrast.
Yeah,
everything was very high contrast. Just the visor.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want Doom 3 darkness over here, because fuck Doom 3.
Can't see shit.
But I feel like when it's Doom, it should just have like this nice, like, I feel like the demons should be menacing, and at no point when I was watching that were they menacing. Right?
I feel like the demons should pop more, actually. I'm not sure if I'm disagreeing with you in the color, but I feel like they stood out enough.
Even in the original Doom, like as shitty as those graphics are today, there's still a kind of a menace to the demons.
Yeah.
And they felt kind of like grunts. And again, Halo 4. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not really scared. Like, they look weird, but they're not scary.
Yeah, like, all the enemies look like fodder, whereas, like, Doom, you do barrel through a lot of dudes. They're not fodder during certain stretches. Like, that wave is intimidating, though.
Yeah.
I think, the thing that gets me, like, the thing that I really like about Doom 3 is I like the way that game looks, like the demons. I like their design.
Mm-hmm. Stuff was always great about Doom 3. I agree.
Yeah, it has always had fantastic art teams. And I really liked the demons from Doom 3 because they look menacing.
Mm-hmm.
And they look scary. And they're big. And, like, when a Hell Knight comes up, it's a big deal. And I think that the demo for this one made the Hell Knights important, and the boss monsters looked suitably threatening, but the little demons did not feel threatening.
Yeah.
And, like, imps are threatening. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess. Yeah.
They're a minor demon, but they can still kill you. Like, you can take a good chunk of damage from them if you're not careful.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. What about the art style worked for you so well, Ben? Like, why did you like it so much?
Well,
or you just don't dislike it as the way we do?
I feel like I dislike it in a different way. I don't know.
What do you dislike about it?
Like, I feel like a lot of it is very realistic and functional.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, some of that's in the storytelling, even. Like, there was a whole section of the first part of the demo where you had to, like, open a door, you had to find a guy's arm and stick it on a pad, and you watched some scene play out.
If that's replacing Doom 3 key hunts, that's not a fix of one of the least... Definitely one of the 5 most annoying things about Doom 3, the key hunts are definitely in the top 3.
What about Doom 1 or Doom 2 key hunts, though?
They were never as bad as the ones in Doom 3.
Like, that's like, a better model to go for.
Yeah.
I think the thing about the ones in, like, the first game was those levels you could go pretty much in any order. Like, how you got to the end didn't really matter. Because while you were looking for keys, it was still, I want to explore this area.
Like, fundamentally, those games were mazes, whereas whereas Doom 3 wasn't a maze, and Doom New One...
And this does not seem like a maze
at all. Yeah. Which is fine. You don't need to make a maze anymore, because, like, Wolfenstein... Last year wasn't a maze, but, like, it had good breathing room, but, like, it didn't waste my time with Okay, it never wasted my time with key hunt bullshit.
But I feel like if you're gonna have, like,
Yeah.
key hunt bullshit, you have to understand why key hunt bullshit isn't offensive in the original Doom. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure that that is understood.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like separating what an actual...
That's still going to be the question.
Yeah, it's like separating what an actual fetch quest is versus Link has to go get 8 pieces of the Triforce by going to 8 dungeons. Like,
and play these musical notes because fuck you.
Yeah, like there's a difference between going to play bullshit musical notes versus go through these 8 dungeons and fetch something. You know? Yeah. You're still fetching at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, cause, I mean, the level design is always going to be a question because, I mean, you can't really show that in the demo.
Yeah, you can't show, unless you're going to show the entire
unless you have a really good level already.
Yeah.
But... I mean, because when people talk about, like, those first 2 Doom games,
mm-hmm.
and they really rave at them, what they rave about are, like, you have these very elemental enemy designs to behave in very predictable ways,
mm-hmm.
and these layouts that kind of encourage you to, like, come up with strategies to deal with these, like, odds thrown against you.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of the angles to approach them from, and you have to come up with something that works. And, like, the enemies will fight each other, and you can, like, lure them against each other. You can lure them to choke points.
There's an elegant simplicity.
You have to use
to
every element.
Yeah.
If you're really going to master it.
Mm-hmm.
And there aren't a lot of games that like that in that way. I mean, that sort of kind of design.
I mean, realistically,
sort of
we haven't seen that type of stuff since the Doom clone era, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, Painkiller, right?
Back.
Right, like Painkiller was sort of a Doom-like game, but it was Doom-like and not really Doom clone. It did take its own spins, and then, like, its real hook was its weapons and the enemy variety itself. But like the way the levels worked wasn't necessarily how it
worked. I mean, there are games that replicate the kind of like fast, strafey, lots of enemies kind of fighting like Painkiller, like
so like
Sam.
again, like what's your beef with the art then? Is it just because that it was a little too grounded?
I just wanted to it's just pop more.
Yeah.
The enemies should really stick out. You should be able to quickly tell what's going on.
So
and I find Hell especially, it's really brown.
Yeah.
And dull.
Yeah.
Just like a color.
Well, how much of that is that we've been to hell one too many times already in video games?
I think, I don't know, it was a little bit
because that was more, to me, my response to hell was it was generic more than anything.
I mean, I think the skull flaming things like that was dull by being to hell too many times, but I think the color palette of it.
Yeah.
If that was a brighter red, I think that'd be more interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. William?
The thing that got me about the first half of the demo, which is apparently the QuakeCon demo, is the environments didn't feel... I don't know. I know it's a vertical slice, but the thing that worries me about it is that environment doesn't feel like anything.
It just doesn't feel like you're progressing through an area because it all started to look the same.
It just feels like this is a room with demons. You will kill them and then go into another room with more demons that looks the same. And one of the cool things about Doom, from Doom 1 all the way through Doom 3, is those environments had character to them. And I know it's a vertical slice, and I shouldn't, judge the game on that. And I think that the part of Hell was more interesting because, it felt like an organic place.
There was a real free-for-all there.
I mean, it gave us an arena to fight in, as opposed to, you're going room to room to room, and then all the rooms look the same.
Yeah, but it felt like a thing that made more sense in terms of level design, whereas, the bit in the front, I'm just, I don't know if I can play that for long stretches. Because it just looks so samey, and I really don't want that to be the case.
Yeah. I'm not even going to say the part where Doom 3 has the exact same problem. But I will say this. If you're looking at it just from the fact that you really like Doom 1, if you're like me and you like Doom 1 and 2, don't give a fuck about Doom 3, and really, really like old PC shooters for very specific reasons, or purist reasons, reason I keep cutting off Ben on the whole speed thing is because that game is slow looking. I don't care what anyone says. There is Doom fast, and then there's what I saw, and what I saw was not fast. It was relatively quick to modern shooters, which are a little bit more slow and lumbering because they're built more for the gamepad. And not that there's anything wrong with slow and lumbering. I like Dark Souls and Stalker, for crying out loud. Those games are, for lack of better terms, deliberate, slow, and at times lumbering. But when I want Doom, I want some, legitimate fast-paced action. And what Doom showed was, this is relatively quick. It's a game being played, it's almost, whether it's being adjusted for gamepads or as WASD puts it, the game's at a higher fidelity and, there's animations they have to take into account. I don't fucking care if that means a slower game than Doom. If all you did was make a detailed tree, fuck you, I don't care. I want the gameplay of Doom. Doom was fast, this is not fast. So that's, the one thing I responded to.
I think that might be
Doom wasn't even a mouse game too.
No,
the other thing, but remember, Doom has a run button.
Yeah,
and that significantly speeds up the game. I could see them.
Yeah, but he runs 90 miles an hour. This was not 90 miles an hour.
I know, but I could see them having that in the game and not showing it on a conference just because they want people to be able to see stuff. Yeah, when you go full speed in Doom, it's very quick.
Yeah, and that's part of why you're able to dodge it. But even base speed Doom looked faster than base speed New Doom.
Fair enough, but what I'm saying
significantly faster.
if you want to demo something like that, you can't go through it at full war. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like it could be faster, and maybe they just didn't do it so everybody could see what was actually going on.
I think the melee kills, I don't know if I already said this, but the rhythm of Doom works because you're moving at such a fast pace and just shooting and gunning. Like, it is a run and gun game, quite literally, right? It's not like today when they call Call of Duty a run and gun shooter. Like, that's what it is in multiplayer, but in single player, it's get behind cover, get behind cover, get behind cover. Because because you're regenerating health all day, right?
Yeah.
In Doom, it's a lot of weaving back and forth and shooting. And this, too often, he was just, because it's Resident Evil 4 style, you pop them, you stun them, and then you get a melee kill. It just felt like there was a stop and go thing going on over and over again. And that breaks Doom rhythm to me. Like, that's like Doom was actually badass. This is trying to be badass, and there's always a difference with there. So that I didn't feel like was necessary. I agree with Ben, the chainsaw is just overdone. But even with those negatives said, just that vertical slice, I came out of it usually when we get a shooter demo, I mean, fuck, even today, I was going gee, it's another game where you shoot dudes in the face, right? But we were watching Doom, and I was actually laughing the whole time while watching that whole footage. I was actually entertained.
Fucked in the head.
At least, it's something. It's a different kind of shooter than what it's normally demos.
Listen, I don't want to give new Doom a free pass that we're gonna knock these newer games for being more of the same, and then the only thing new Doom is doing is going back to it's fucking the early 90s, right? Because that's not actually, that's the same issue, just you had the benefit of your style of game died out, right? But you're still Madden. You're just as bad as everyone else for not doing anything new. But if I'm gonna get samey shooters, I'd rather have more Doom than have more Halo. It is what it is. Chris, I'm guessing Doom did nothing for you?
I'm I don't want to sound pretentious or anything, but shooters do nothing for me anymore, especially shooters.
There's nothing pretentious about it.
That's not pretentious. Yeah. I think that's just oversaturation, man.
There's just nothing. I'm glad that exists, such a stripped down version of shooting that people are sick of all the bullshit of perks and jetpacks and armor locks and all that crap, just want to shoot things in the face. I think that's probably the best avenue you're going to find, but it that at its best, I totally understood the appeal, but I was just kind of nodding my head and saying that'll be fun for other people.
You're for shooter junkies like me and William, we'll still give it another go.
Right.
But you're at a point you'll play a shooter when it feels like it's something different and fresh. Infinite wasn't necessarily the most original game in the world, but it was different from everything else.
Yeah, the fact that there's powers and you're jumping around and stuff like that was interesting to me.
It felt unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. This feels very safe almost.
Yeah. Titanfall was another response like that. It wasn't wholly original, but at least felt progressive in some level.
Right.
With the way you were moving around.
Most shooters that grab me for a very short time because the gimmick is very obvious, and I like that gimmick for even Titanfall I only played for 2 weeks or something, and that was kind of it. Whereas Doom, again, its strength is that it doesn't have the gimmick, but now it literally has nothing that the guns sound good, the graphics look cool to me, but
you shot plenty of people in the face
already. I've shot so many things and the appeal of, again, no story is good for people who want that, but now I have nothing enticing me to see what's around that corner.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it for Doom. Well, no, we still got the other stuff. Doom's had a montage of a multiplayer, which we can't really say anything about, other than it looked very id-ish, or Quake-ish, if you will. And as someone who also hates Quake 4 as much as Doom 3, because calling that game a sequel to Quake 3 Arena is fucking sacrilege, because it is an abomination of a multiplayer compared to Quake 3 Arena. Because when they made Quake Live, they didn't bring shit from Quake 4. Although, yes, William, it wasn't made by id, I understand, and you like the single player. One day I actually have to play it to see what all the fuss was about there. But, I'm just saying, if Doom is technically making up the mistakes of Quake 4's multiplayer and Doom 3's single player, then I'm suddenly cool with Doom. You know? Yes, no, thank you. Two birds with one stone, I'm good with that. It's gonna have tough competition because Unreal Tournament is coming back with a vengeance, and there was that toxic game, and just in general, we've been seeing a lot more arena-styled shooters getting announced, so it'll be interesting how it goes there. The biggest thing was Snap Map, right? It's called Snap Map?
Yeah.
Snap Map. And the best way to put this is it's mods on consoles. Like, obviously the PC version was going to have mods, but what this is you get to make modes, you get to make levels. These are very intricate, like, elaborate geometry bending levels, right? From what I was seeing. Like, this wasn't like a Forge type deal where, like, you move a barrel.
Yeah, it's just preset things.
I mean, you could, but, like, I think the cool thing about it is, like, it looks intuitive like Forge is, but it gives you just so much to play with.
Well, it looked intuitive because I felt like that part was actually being played by a mouse and keyboard. Because that moved way too smoothly for a gamepad. Anyone that's played, like, even if you played with Forge, just moving, like, like, eventually Bungie added the things with the bumpers to make, like, sliding it's, like, a hard thing to compare. Like, they had a great video on it. But, like, it made, like, positioning your tiles easier. There was, like, an auto-click thing going. Like, the things would magnetize, so you wouldn't have to, like, spend eons just trying to finally get it there, right? Because people would grow frustrated with that shit. Anyway.
Just do it!
But, like, just do it. But, like, this looked like he was moving everything around, like, so quick, smoothly. Like, I felt like that was the only part about that demo being demoed by a mouse and keyboard. The most disgusting thing about the Doom showing is the fact that game was played on a gamepad. That is heresy of the highest fucking order. Anyway, sorry, I had to get that in. It's
true, though.
It is just gross. Anyway. But you're right, like, it did look intuitive, it did look like the interesting thing is it's not just that you get to make maps, it's like custom games in StarCraft 2. Or StarCraft.
Yeah.
You get to make your own little bullshit games. Like, we're not gonna make Horde, well, I mean, maybe they should make Horde mode, but, like, if you want to make Horde mode, go for it.
The other cool thing is that, they're, like, you don't have to have programming knowledge to be able to do really intense stuff, which is awesome.
They always say that.
Like, they say that, though, but, like, id's always been very upfront with what their tech can and can't do, so if they're telling you, hey, this is our goal for this tech, I believe them.
Yeah.
Well, the good news about that...
Yeah, we'll see where they're about that. Yeah.
The good news about that is if they get some of the gameplay elements wrong for the single player, then someone can mod.
The community can fix it, yeah.
Yeah, like... Yeah. Like, maybe they'll make the game 90 miles an hour, you know? Like, that'll be great.
Yep.
Or they'll...
Bethesda.
Yeah.
Oh, it can always count on its fans.
Yeah.
Fix mistakes.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe they should be owned by Bethesda.
Because it feels like
hurts.
it. To me, the biggest obstacle going over this game is not the purest shit we just went over. Like, whatever. Like, Wolfenstein isn't the most purest fucking shooter, and it was very, very good. Like, I liked that game a lot. Like, I'm perfectly fine if a game is never as good as Doom 2 ever again, because Doom 2's a classic. You know what I mean?
Gaming
like, I don't need another classic from Doom, but I would like another good game from Doom. But if we're gonna ignore Doom 3, because I don't want to argue with William for the entirety of this podcast, Rage is not a good game. Rage has good shooting mechanics, and it has the wing sticks, which are good. The car combat was entirely a farce in that game. It had no business even being there. It was like complete filler, right? The game's missions were repetitive, the level design. Eventually it DMC4'd your ass by making you go through older levels but backwards, right? And then it ends in like this super anticlimactic thing, while never really building its world, while having like this mishmash of shit from Fallout and Mad Max and all these other Wasteland things, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas like Doom itself has always been like this very like singular thing built around really fast action, like dead metal, loud guitar riff music, right? Like that's been like that's Doom, essentially. Like the demons or whatever, they're just there to get shot half the time, right?
Yeah.
So like in this, but like what makes it all also work is like we said, like those levels gave you a lot of room to experiment, and you had so much enemy variety to work with. If the levels don't like complement those mechanics, and this is just a lot of routine corridor shooting, like you were thinking, Will, like if it was just that, and like things like hell are just like spaced out too much, then the game's gonna get really tiring, and that's not a good thing. Like that looks great in a vertical slice, but a vertical slice is only part of a game. Like you need to be able to sustain, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. And we're going on the short side. Wolfenstein wasn't 7 hours. Like if they try to be Wolfenstein length, and it's like that, that's gonna be a long day for them. Like that's gonna be a boring ass game. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
He's dead again.
Yeah, you're dead again. Jesus Christ, your mic is bad today.
We should move on to some other games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, personally, I'm interested. Will, I would bet by the end of our E3 week, that's gonna be pretty close to one of his game of the shows. Ben, I guess you're...
I mean, I'm not super huge on shooters in general, but this seems more interesting than most.
But we're on the same level of, I'm somewhat interested.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, okay. What was next? Then there was Battle Cry, right?
That does not look good.
So it's a multiplayer game. It's colorful. It's class-based.
A lot of third-person clunky melee combat.
A lot of third-person clunky melee combat, which is bad for me and Ben, because we play a lot of beat-em-ups. Or we like Japanese-style beat-em-ups, at least, even if we don't necessarily always get to play too many of them. So the game does nothing for us, right?
Pretty much.
And, Chris, you could not give two less of a fuck.
I don't even remember the game you're talking about.
And the first casualty of if it has no gameplay, it does not exist, Dishonored 2 got announced. With a CGI trailer.
Along with Dishonored Remaster.
CGI grappling hook powers.
Yeah. CGI grappling hook powers. The twist is that Corvo and Emily, the little girl from the original Dishonored, are the protagonists. You can pick whoever you want, I think. Or you play as both? Is it both, or you pick one?
I'm not sure if it's you pick one or the other, or you switch between. You can switch between them.
Mm-hmm.
Probably switch between them.
Like for each mission.
Yeah.
It'll be like a Halo 2 situation.
I don't think it's a Halo 2 situation though.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's like they're both part of the story, but you get to pick like when
it's like that.
Switch. It's whatever.
They didn't talk too much about it. I mean, they showed the CG demo starring Emily, showing off some of her powers. And it looks, it looks like Lord Dishonored, and Dishonored was a pretty cool game. Yeah. For sure. I had a good time with that.
Still need to play it.
And Emily has a grappling hook power, so I am totally on board.
Yeah, whereas Goggin is anti-non-gameplay trailers. Ben is very pro-grappling hook.
I'm very pro-grappling hook.
It doesn't even need to be gameplay trailer. If it's in the trailer, a CGI trailer, it's a bonus.
2016 year of the grappling hook.
I hope so. Be a good year.
I'm sorry. Dishonored 2 should be good.
Yeah.
I just don't like non-gameplay related trailers.
Well, because what do we even have to talk about? That it exists?
Yeah, exactly.
We can talk about that it exists.
And we have a story beat
the setting's a little bit different, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And there's a grappling hook.
It's cool that you can play as a female protagonist, I guess.
I don't know. CGI to me is just a way of not a non-committal announcement. Because how do you even know that when they actually show gameplay, they keep any of those things?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's true. But here's the thing with even with gameplay demos with these vertical slices that people create, you never know.
True.
They're going to keep all these things.
I thought you were going to say that they would never lie about having a grappling hook. Like
they also would never lie about having a grappling hook.
They could lie.
No.
Remember how the last game with a grappling hook worked out for you?
It was great.
Bionic Commando, you're going to call it great?
I don't think that was the last game I played with a grappling hook, but that had a great grappling hook.
His wife was the grappling hook.
His wife was a grappling hook.
The grappling gameplay in that was top notch.
Did you know Towers felt like we should have called the Bionic Commando Endo our actual best ending because the idea of the wife being the arm is actually so stupid it's amazing? Or he legitimately thought it was amazing. I wouldn't necessarily
go that far.
In retrospect, I kind of felt like you know
there's
what?
Maybe some audacity to it.
Yeah, like on some level, I don't want to put it on the bad endings, especially considering how bad some of the other endings were. Because Fallout 2's ending, not Fallout 2, Fear 2's ending was so dumb.
Yeah, but that's number 1.
Yeah, that was deserving. You wanted it to not be number 1, Chris.
I was fighting hard for Mass Effect.
Yeah, you would almost never assume a Mass Effect game is one of your 2 favorite games of the previous generation. Anyway.
Shittiest ending.
Yeah, that'll do for Dishonored, and then really all Bethesda really had to show us was...
One of the things I want to get at, though, with the CG trailers and stuff, is that to make a gameplay trailer takes a lot of work, a lot of which has to get thrown out when you're making the actual game, because you're just trying to make something that'll function.
No, I definitely get why they do it. It's just, it doesn't do anything for me.
CGI trailers are tolerable if I'm getting a game being demonstrated in some capacity. If I am not getting shown a game, however, then I don't care about a CGI trailer.
But I definitely like gameplay trailers more. So
obviously,
definitely.
Okay. Listen, I'm not questioning why CGI trailers get made. Like, the business idea I get. The fact that it works still bothers me because I'd rather it be show me a game. Like, show me a game. Dishonored 2 doesn't exist until I see a game. When Dishonored 2 shows me a game, a HUD, or some human being playing that game, then boom, Dishonored 2 exists. It's like it magically came into the world.
Yeah, it's basically the equivalent of just putting on the screen like a splash screen that says Dishonored 2.
Yeah, like, that's really what they did.
Yeah.
So, it's just a more interesting, I guess.
Dishonored Definitive Edition.
Yeah, Definitive Edition. Because that's why I bought a next-gen console.
To keep playing Definitive Edition.
Games. Yeah.
Which, luckily for you, you now have a PC, so you're playing those versions already if you buy it.
Just sell my consoles, no point.
Actually, fuck, it's too early for that. I was gonna say, like, that announcement's, like, maybe one day, I mean, I guess it's early enough, but, like, because now the 360 can actually do, I mean, the Xbox One.
Whoa, let's not get into that.
Let's not spoil a future podcast? Fine, whatever. Let's pretend we don't know that answer already.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, Dishonored Definitive Edition. Fuck you. Anyway, next. Fallout 4 was the closer.
Wait. What about the Elder Scrolls Hearthstone?
No.
No, we're not.
An expansion to an MMO.
Let's go over this. Let's go over among the millions of reasons. First of all, it's an Elder Scrolls MMO. No, sorry. First of all, it's an MMO. Oh, no. It's an MMO with a card game for an MMO for a franchise that is notorious for having bad combat in a genre that almost always has bad combat, in a genre that's built around loot RPG logic, which is built around do work instead of actually getting good at the game logic, which, let's go over the 1.5 million reasons that we don't want to do this because we don't want to Goggin rant when you want to end this podcast so quickly.
I thought the card game was a standalone thing.
You're going to try to make this happen. Okay, I think the card game is a standalone thing. Yes, it is a standalone game.
And Hearthstone was made by a loot game developer, and it turned out...
Hearthstone was made by a very, very, very good developer in Blizzard who has a much more interesting track record than the people who made Elder Scrolls Online, unfortunately.
That's true. It seems like an also ran. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. See, also ran. See, I like you using also rans.
Yeah.
Mixing it up.
And there's Fallout Shelter.
Is it wrong that I think that game looked more fun than Fallout 4?
No.
Okay. Chris,
let's talk about Fallout 4.
Let's talk about Fallout 4. So let's talk about Bethesda in general in this sense. I felt Bethesda had one of the best, like, presented press conferences, in the sense that I thought that Peter guy, I don't remember his name, I'm sorry, we're too lazy to Google.
Peter Hines?
Peter Hines. I thought he was really good as far as presenting everything. He was very natural. He had a good stage presence. He had a good sense of humor. He was able to play to nerd humor without being, like, too overkill, like, tell me a meme, bro. I'm sorry, spoiler again.
That was awful.
Yeah. And I like Aisha Tyler, by the way. She's awesome. But that was not particularly... Like, Peter Hines was legitimately entertaining, and Todd Howard I thought was fantastic on the stage. Like, all across the board. He was very natural out there. If they were reading the teleprompter, I honestly would... If you had told me they weren't reading the teleprompter, I would believe you, because I was like, you know what? They came up very natural. Like, they knew... Because they obviously knew their shit, and they just played to the crowd very well. Like, they knew how... Like, Peter Hines is that one thing like, alright, I guess we're done. And then the crowd was, like, instantly on top of that. It's like, wait, what? What? Oh, right, we got one more thing, right? I guess we have to show it. So, it was a smart thing that, you know, anyone who watches the World Wrestling Federation would understand, you know? Like
Peter Hines is like a Jack Tretton level.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. That's good.
Not Peter Moore. I think Peter Moore's better.
You think Peter Moore is the best of the bunch?
Peter Moore's very good at what he does, I think.
Peter Moore is very good. Yeah.
One more, the E3 of one more things.
Yeah.
I don't think Hines would tattoo his arm.
So you're saying Peter Moore is more committed to the act.
Well, that passion shows through, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
But he did well, and I think Todd Howard did a very good presentation of Fallout 4. And because Bethesda didn't have as much to show, but they were very thorough with a few of their games.
Exactly. And
in a way that the other conferences were not.
And in contrast to the Dishonored 2 thing, where that's a game that doesn't exist, Fallout 4 was maybe one of my favorite presented games for how it was presented. Because they just showed a game. Like, there was very little PR bullshit behind it. It was just like, here's our game. We're making a big game. Here's our stories about the tone we're going for. Here's some of the creative
early stuff.
Yeah, here's some of the early stuff with like here's what you could create. We'll mess with it a little bit so you can see it. Like, this is what we're aiming for. Here's this dog. We fixed the combat, and then they showed a little bit of the shooting. And they showed crafting, and they showed the Fallout shelter. They showed the pre-order bonus. Like, they were definitely marketing a product. Yes, like, they were still doing that. But they did it in a way that felt like they weren't bullshitting you. Like, they were literally... Like, think about that game.
Well, I mean, there's a reason for that, though, right?
The fact that it comes out this year.
The fact that it comes out in, 3 months.
Yeah.
Or 4... It comes out... This comes out November, right?
I mean, compare that to all these other games that waste a year of our life trying to do this, bullshit marketing.
Yeah.
And they were able to do it.
We have the game ready, basically.
Yeah. Like, they just showed us a game, and they called it a day. Like, I understand they have more drawing power than a lot of developers.
It's definitely helpful.
But, just the way they presented that game should, not work, you would think,
Yeah.
But it's working beautifully, in my opinion. Anyway, so they showed Fallout 4. The initial thing they showed was the tone and what they were going for. I believe you're going to start off as one member of a couple who's going to be right there before a nuke goes off, and then
you start off in the world before the nuclear war, and then you run to a shelf, and then you make your character, you go through a bit of your day, and then and they go through character creation stuff, and then the bombs start falling, you run to a shelter, and somehow they wouldn't elaborate, but your character goes into the shelter and then somehow is able to wake up 200 years later and go out into the post-apocalyptic world.
$20 says the kid's still alive.
Yeah, that's your game plan?
Yeah. Because, I get why they'd kill off the significant other, because you didn't make that person, but I don't feel because I remember he said,
you do make the significant other. You make both of them.
You make both of them?
Yeah.
I thought you only made one, the other one just... You make both? Oh, then they both...
You can make both, and then whichever one you leave with is the one that you play as.
I feel like they'll both make it then. I don't see the point of making a character that dies within 5 minutes.
They mentioned specifically that the baby was auto-generated by combining the two characters you created.
Yeah, so it's got to be alive.
That's a lot of work.
It's got to be alive.
I'm going to go with default man and default female and just go with default baby.
Default baby?
Yeah, pretty much.
This was kind of the first Fallout. It's got the Mass Effect wheel, the dialogue wheel.
Wouldn't life be better if you could just go with default baby?
It's just A, X, and B, and Y.
I kind of do want to play as default baby. I feel like he's the one that should survive the nuke.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. I wasn't sure who they were going to have.
What would a baby even look like, though? Babies all look the same.
I don't know. Well, you would imagine he'd grow up with, both of their features, though, right? He'd start off a baby, but you grew older in the vault, and then you come out of the vault as the son of the two characters you created, and then you end up with... Or a daughter. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
See, that would make more sense to me than making the mother and the father, and then you're just the mother or the father. Unless it's a twist at the end where you are the baby.
That would make no sense.
That would be a Bionic Commando move that I don't.
Well, it wouldn't make sense because your character, because you can do third person, so you'd be able to see that it's not your character.
What if your wife was the Pip-Boy, huh?
Oh my god! What if your dog?
You find the Pip-Boy on someone else though.
What if your baby is dog meat?
Now, what if your baby is dog meat, huh? Huh, Ben?
We need to move on.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it's a more narrative.
Yeah, it's more narrative driven for Bethesda, which
speaks.
Yeah.
Is that Troy Baker? It sounded like Troy Baker.
It does sound like Troy Baker.
They're all Troy Baker.
It could always be Troy Baker.
Yeah. There was a house crafting thing going on.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I felt like you made. Well, it's basically you make your own home base, right?
Yeah, it's there are different places in the world that you can make home bases in.
Yeah.
And you can construct buildings and stuff in these areas by picking things up from the world or scrapping things in the areas themselves. and those turn into different component pieces, and then you can make all this stuff with those component pieces. So you have a reason to pick up all the random stupid junk that Bethesda populates their worlds with. You can carry like 5 million eggs and then use them for something. Yeah. Well, not eggs in Fallout, I guess. That would be like a Skyrim thing, but...
Yeah. And, like, that was interesting, I guess. Like, I feel like it would be a nice time kill for people that get really, like, invested in that stuff, because there's people that, like, really got into that rebuilding that town thing in Assassin's Creed 2, for instance, right?
And Dark Cloud.
And you can, like, set up electricity, is so good. And defenses, and, like, shops, and all kinds of stuff.
Why couldn't Sony fund a Dark Cloud 3?
Dark Cloud 3.
Dark Cloud's a cool game. Yeah, we should add that to the list. Anyway, the weapon mods, that was an interesting thing. Like, that looked like it would work. System. I could see it also being shallow, though, with the way Bethesda RPGs work, no offense, but whatever. I gotta say, like, I felt like the combat was improved. Like, I thought the shooting was definitely better than what I've seen in New Vegas and Fallout 3.
Like, not bat shooting?
Yeah, non-bat shooting. But, like, it still didn't look like... I mean, maybe because, like, again, it goes back to what Chris said, is like, I've shot so many dudes in the face that didn't look special in any capacity.
Yeah, weirdly, the thing I'm least excited for Fallout is the shooting part. Everything else looks really interesting to me. I'm just shooting, not so much.
So where are you at on Fallout 4, Chris? Because, like, of all the games that were shown at Bethesda's conference, I'm guessing that's the only one.
That's the one that, interested me.
Yeah.
So,
it's the tone I really like. That's always actually kind of been the strongest suit to me in Fallout. Like in 3, I'm going to play New Vegas soon. Is that, like, weird, like, just dark humor all the time. Like, almost absurdly dark. Like with the robot, that always makes me, I'm kind of drawn into, it's not endearing is totally the wrong word, but, it just like makes that world feel.
I like that robot.
Yeah, it's just a nice little detail, a little flourish to the world that interests me. And the world looks massive. Like, that looks like a world I'm going to have fun exploring. And I remember you made that post, the shandification thing. And I agree that there should be more kind of consistency and logic to why the world is the way that it is. But I don't know, that world looks really fun to explore.
Yeah, it comes back to the thing, like, if you want, like, proper escapism, like, if you're a curmudgeon like Goggin can be, right? Little things will jar me out of experiences. Like, I'll stop taking how many stories will I stop taking seriously for, like, in the quickest reason?
Because you can't see feet?
Because that's the dumbest thing about first-person games. Oh, God. Anyway, if Doom doesn't have feet, I will be tight. Anyway.
It won't have feet.
If Fallout doesn't have feet, what will you do?
In third person.
There's a third-person mode. Third-person mode, yeah. It just means...
but that doesn't count.
Yeah, but at least, like, I know he has feet that way.
You know, he's a being that exists
in the to me, then at least Fallout 4 can legitimately say... He literally bends over at a 90-degree angle every time you look down. Like, oh, okay.
He just really can't see his feet.
Whereas with other FPS games, I'm like, I don't know. Is he actually bending down at a 90-degree angle?
Is he floating?
Listen. Let's not get into that. What I'm saying, though, is, like, in spite of New Vegas looking like shit, like, when I was streaming it, like, even Will can testify, and he's not a graphics whore. He's like me. We don't give a fuck about graphics too much. But we were both looking at that game going, wow, this game looks like ass visually. Right? Yeah. But it was very easy to buy into that world because they thought everything through. And I don't want to just ape off of B-Tongue, although I think he needs to make more videos. He's fantastic. But, like, he just thinks of a random question. What do they eat? And that world has thought that through. Like, someone at Obsidian went through the trouble, like, alright, what would this town eat? How would they get to the well? Okay, now we're in Vegas. Like, it's got one farmer isn't going to feed everyone. So now there's an irrigation system. Now there's this. Now you can explain how these people have survived for so long. The first to the PlayStation 4 as a medium station 4. That is true, I guess. There's a contradiction there. So, like, that stuff's, like, really good. Like, that's what separates, like, actual great environmental design. Like, that's why I love Stalker. Like, when I think of what Stalker's world is, it's not a theme park. You say it's bad because it looks whatever, like, it's just there. But, like, when you think of an actual environment, it should feel like it's just there. Like, when the fuck do you ever, like, just walk around a block and it looks something, like, oh my god, this block. Like, no, you don't give a fuck. It looks like a block. Right? Like, houses in Stalker felt like actual natural houses So then, when that game wanted to dictate combat, it was an awesome enemy AI that was doing it, right? And in the case of New Vegas, like when they were pimping this narrative out of like all these different possibilities you had, it worked because like it felt like you were in this believable world. Fallout, Bethesda's world exploring and escapism, I always compare it more to Disney World. Like, you're at a theme park. There's a lot of variety to it. It's fun. You're there for a while, but you get exhausted of a theme park after a while. You get what I'm saying? Like, the immersion level is different.
One of the things for me that kind of took me out of what they demoed in Fallout 4, and this might be really stupid, but with the dog companion, I don't know if this is for the demo, so maybe it's like a completely stupid complaint. But, like, the dog's just, like, sitting there by the gas station, and the guy walks up and is like, hey, dog. And the dog's like, woof. And then
they're immediately best friends.
The guy's like, you want to follow me along and be, like, my loyal companion? And the dog's like, woof. And that's like, okay. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, the dog is now your best buddy forever.
I mean, it's not dumb. It's just, like, Fallout is probably going to take itself relatively seriously, and it's like, that's a thing that happened in that story. Because, like, if they kill the dog, then it's like, great, you built up, this relationship was entirely built on this completely stupid thing. You know what I mean?
But isn't that how dogs work?
That's not how dogs work.
I feel
all
like
dogs. I feel like some dogs you have to win them over.
No, but we have to think. Maybe in real life, like in our time, dogs would work like that. But as if this dog that's been living in the wild, that's learned that everything is hostile, would immediately warm up to this person he's never seen before.
Maybe, I guess.
Even a dog that you've like raised from a puppy or whatever, it takes a while for them to.
Yeah.
They'll follow you, but it's tough to train them, you know?
It is a little thing, but whatever.
It is a little thing. It
is a little thing.
We should never stop ourselves from... We're the No Jive podcast, so we don't stop at the little things. We tell it like it is.
We nitpick.
Yeah. Like, if
in Resident Evil 4, that you free that dog from the trap, and he runs away.
Oh,
but he's right. In Resident Evil 4, you earn that dog's trust.
I thought you were talking shit about Resident Evil 4.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Ben would never.
You had to do something for the dog, and then he has to take time to come back to you.
William, do you want to get your thing in on Fallout 4?
It feels earned.
What are we?
We're on Fallout 4. We've gone through there. We've praised them for their presentation. We've given them their credit for how they presented the game, like what the game's doing, and
we talked about the construction stuff.
Can we talk about how stupid that Pip-Boy is?
No.
Which Pip-Boy?
The collector's edition thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's gloriously stupid, and they acknowledge that it's stupid.
There's a Pip-Boy app.
Yeah, so there's a Pip-Boy app coming out because Bethesda's making a collector's item of an actual, honest-to-God Pip-Boy.
That you can stick your phone into.
That you can stick your phone into and use that app. And it apparently, I guess, functions with the game in some capacity. And the best thing about that one comes back to that Bethesda was presenting this in a very, like, natural, like, no bullshit sort of way. Todd Howard quite literally described it as, like, this, in terms of gimmicky, stupid bullshit, this is the best fucking gimmicky, stupid bullshit, or whatever, however he worded it. But,
I'm
like,
sure that's how he worded it.
He basically called it, like, exactly what it is.
Bullshit.
Yeah, he didn't use bullshit, but he did use the word fucking. He did use the word fucking.
There was cursing.
He was the only one at E3 this year that cursed.
Adam Boyce cursed.
Oh, and Aisha Tyler, but
Spoilers.
Aisha Tyler wasn't supposed to be part of the thing. Also spoilers. But he basically said, like, of all the stupid gimmicky stuff, like, this is the best fucking stupid gimmicky stuff he's ever seen. Which, of course, he's gonna be biased towards. But, like, again, he acknowledges that it's stupid, it's gimmicky, and it's nerdy. But that's why, like, it was easier to accept. Like, of all the things, it's kind of petty to pick on the Pip-Boy now. So, you know what? You're right. Good for you, Bethesda.
Okay, fair enough. Fallout 4, I don't care. I can't bring myself to enjoy what Bethesda does in their games. When given the freedom to do everything, I tend to not do anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will say that the construction that you can do in that game is really cool, and I'm totally not a person who likes doing that crap, but, like, building your own settlement would be awesome. And I think that it's really cool that they've put in so many systems to let you do that, to let you do your weapons and your settlement, and, like, just kind of make it your world instead of the playground world that they have built for you. I think that's probably the best thing they could have done to, like, counteract the fact that, hey, you know, sometimes our environments just aren't that interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it still comes back to, like the thing about Bethesda games, like, they've got all these systemic things that, like, are interesting in themselves, but, like, because there's always, like, this weird lack of direction to the game, their games, like their main quest hasn't been strong in terms of at least Oblivion and Fallout 3. The main quests are weak,
and they did not really suggest much about what that would be like.
Yeah, the best parts about Fallout 3 is like if you played Fallout 3 and if you did the side quests instead of the main quest, you played a better version of that game.
I did.
Yeah, like just do the side quests. If they could tell you which ones were specifically main quests, you avoid the ones that are main quests.
Yeah. I don't know, I just... good for them. I don't think it's going to release this year. I think that's crazy. I think it's going to get delayed. But
I think if they said it this late, it'll probably make it.
Yeah.
I feel that, they wouldn't say it unless they were really, really sure. I just think that... I don't know. I just have a feeling that it's going to get delayed. Maybe I'll be wrong. Who knows?
Nah, I honestly don't doubt it. Because, 4-year development time works with how long they make games, and it's not... And, if they were known for their technical polish, then I would say, yeah, Fallout 4 probably needs to be delayed, but Bethesda's not that kind of company.
Yeah, they'll push it out.
They'll definitely push it out early.
They'll ship it a little broken.
Yeah, it's a little,
they don't care.
Please. Yeah. So that part's out of the way, and whatever. We'll be one of the few places that actually knock Bethesda for this shit. But, actually, nothing about how that, you said earlier, was it this year on the podcast or last year, but, we're probably done with the era of a game getting announced and released in the same year. But if you're going to talk about some of the studios that can pull it off, Bethesda's sort of in that place, because when their games come out, they don't just sell, they do ridiculous in the sales department. For an RPG, it was one thing that Fallout 3 sold so much.
They lead the pack.
It was one thing when Morrowind sold so much, and it was another thing when Oblivion sold so much, but then Fallout 3 killed it, and then Skyrim killed it again, and more than Fallout 3. When Fallout 4 was basically teased with the trailer, and the internet exploded for a day. That crowd naturally reacted to that guy about to say the show's over. And enough of them have to be trained enough to know that it's a fake out. But they all bit within a second. They didn't even they were like, no, you don't get it, Peter. We're here for one thing. No, you have to show this. So they're not quite Rockstar territory if they can do whatever the fuck they want, because they still show up to E3, but they're Bethesda. They're Bethesda. They're the notch below Rockstar and Blizzard, where who else can do the things Blizzard can do these days? I'm sorry, Bethesda proper. Proper Bethesda. Not the rest of Bethesda's studios. Because it can't do that.
Bethesda had to anchor that conference.
Yeah.
I think,
otherwise, it doesn't exist, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you mentioned Blizzard, because, the last time I remember a studio doing that was when Blizzard announced, I forget, but, that's basically how they've been doing their Warcraft expansions. Announced it's releasing 4 months from now.
Yeah, because it's World of Warcraft. Basically sells itself at this point. Cause
look at how many in that ecosystem, you're going to get the next one.
Yeah, it's if you're a subscriber still, you're probably going to get an expansion at some point. We'll release it and we'll get it there.
But, I mean, big...
What? What's the big thing?
The biggest
the other thing that helps their cause is because Oblivion, Fallout 3, and Skyrim were runaway successes during award season in their respective years. Runaway. 2 of those years you could pretend it was the competition, and there's a degree of truth there. 2011, they went up against strong competition, and they still killed it. Right? The one thing I would say is probably not helping their cause in, if we want to talk award show nonsense real quick, I think Bethesda's won a lot of awards because their games are so technically unique. Because no one makes game worlds as big as they used to, right?
Yeah.
But now,
Witcher 3 was this year.
Complex AI system.
Yeah, The Witcher 3 was this year, though. It may not have the complex AI. It's a big-ass world, though. Grand Theft Auto 5 was...
last year.
2 years ago?
2 years ago. And Metal Gear Solid 5 is this year.
Metal Gear Solid 5 is not going to be that big, though, but it's going to be another open world. Arkham Knight is looking like a big open world. Open world is no longer... It's not so much this genre's died out, but it's become such a common thing, and we've been seeing the Skyrim thing even in demos now of Xenoblade and Zelda. That's the big hint. Zelda hasn't quite literally used the word Skyrim, but they've used the Skyrim slogan of "You see that mountain there? You can go there." You know, that's
just
in a nutshell
Destiny.
Bethesda. Well, they lie.
That's not.
Bungie's liars, but the rest of them have been telling the truth, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think the most disappointing thing for me personally is that they're not letting Obsidian do it. I don't even know if Obsidian wants to work with them again. Probably not.
Probably not after they got shitted on. But
it's just like, I don't think Bethesda understands Fallout the way that Obsidian does.
Well, so if we can sidetrack this podcast before Ben spazzes at us, as much as I like Obsidian and I do like New Vegas more, I'll go on record. New Vegas is Obsidian's best game because fuck Alpha Protocol. I don't like Knights of the Old Republic 2. I didn't play Neverwinter Nights 2, and South Park is okay. Like, it's good, it's fun, it's South Parky, but it's not like, when I think Obsidian RPG, I think, something in the name of Black Isle. To me, Obsidian has never lived up to the name Black Isle until New Vegas, but more so, Chris Avellone just left. And the creative director for New Vegas, so as in the lead guy on the game, now works at Guerrilla, and we can't spoil it yet, even though we're not on embargoes or anything, Chris, asshole. Anyway.
We have to pretend.
We have to pretend. That's,
The people are going to experience E3 through our podcast.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah,
and nothing else.
Fine, whatever. But yeah, like, it was just like, I would still rather have Obsidian, because obviously people there make more interesting RPGs to me. But I'm also looking at it like, if Obsidian's back to doing CRPGs, like,
I think that's probably better for everybody.
That's probably better for everybody, because I like New Vegas, I don't like its combat. Pillars of Eternity's combat at least looks tolerable, if not actually enjoyable, because I dug Divinity to hell and back last year. But
at least they can have like their quality under control that way.
Yeah, they get to actually pick their budgets, And
yeah, but I don't know. Chris Avellone leaving that studio is a huge blow to that studio.
Yeah.
Anyway, not to sidetrack.
Yeah, not to sidetrack. But like, yeah, I agree. Bethesda back on Fallout is what it is, but it's time to accept that the interplay Fallout is just, that's dead.
That's gone.
Like,
I just, like, not even, like, Obsidian, but I wish that they would have made, like, a team of people to manage Fallout properly. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like the studio that makes Skyrim is the right team to do it, and I can't explain why I feel that way. I just don't.
There's plenty of reasons to explain that way. First and foremost, they are not RPGs. They are basically action-adventure games where you can basically make an all-powerful character that does everything. Like, they have numbers, but you have so many ways to get over those numbers. There's level scaling, which is another annoying-ass thing. The dark humor Chris likes is tame compared to the one in Fallout 1. Much less Fallout 2, much less to the one in New Vegas, in my opinion. We already shit-talked about the world design, so, I mean, reality is, they don't make Fallout, they make the Bethesda game in a wasteland. Like, it is what it is, but at the same time, like, hey, let's cut some crap too. Bethesda's a business. They bought the IP. If they weren't making a Fallout, no one else was going to make one anyway. So, I'm not looking at this like some massive loss. Like, if I want to play an interplay-styled game, Wasteland 2 just came out last year. It's a pretty good game. It's getting an enhanced edition to fix some of the rough edges. We're getting a new run of CRPGs, which is more indicative of what Interplay's games are than either Fallout 3 or New Vegas is. New Vegas is more Fallout in spirit than it is actual proper Fallout, even from a gameplay standpoint, Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm not sweating that detail. I mean, like, the larger issue isn't even that. Like, for me and you, the larger issue is when I play a Bethesda game, the playing it part sucks. For us. Like, we don't dig it.
Yep.
Right? Chris, you love the exploring. Like, I get it. I get the appeal of Bethesda games. Like, they give you a playground to play around in, and that's fun, because, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it if you do not enjoy that freedom after all these linear restrictive games, right? Like, that is the appeal.
I'm 12 years old and I love playgrounds.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they put you in a sandbox, and then they say don't make poopy castles, because no one wants to make poopy castles.
Watch me.
Yeah, you don't want to make poopy castles. You never watched the Egoraptor sequelitis on Zelda? So poopy castles is when the sand is wet.
Oh, I know what a poopy castle is in real life.
Yeah, you don't want to make a poopy castle, because it's a poopy castle. He said Link to the Past was... The thing he didn't like about Link to the Past was they gave you this big world, and then all of a sudden they wanted you to do very specific things. It's like being thrown in a sandbox and being told you can only make poopy castles. And then he explains it, and it's, fuck it, whatever. You have to watch it again to get the joke.
I only use sandboxes to try Tunnel to China.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did
Never
you ever
got
get there? Never got there? Never got there. Yeah, that's Bethesda.
It was one of the, it felt shorter, I guess, because it didn't have a lot in it.
It didn't have a lot in it, but did you guys talk about Dishonored?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know,
you were dead.
It didn't drag.
No.
Yeah. No, it didn't drag.
Like everything they showed
not too much.
Was pretty hey, this is important. So
yeah,
there was that Elder Scrolls Online stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The way I look at it, it was if I wanted to do the if the opening of an E3 run should be potentially the podcast with the least amount of information. That'll be interesting, right? Mm-hmm. In that regard, Bethesda's fine. If we start off strong, then the bar is set too high for everyone else.
What do you call that?
They do well.
Aperitif?
Yeah. It was a nice opener, and it gave everyone a sense see, look, we're not going to steal the show from you guys. And then for a good part of Monday, spoiler alert, it looked like Bethesda was actually going to have the best conference by default. Because everyone else was basically doing a good job boring us.
And then...
Yeah, we'll see.
And then a fun conference happened. So that's that. Otherwise, if I was personally being honest, I thought Bethesda's presentation was great. I'm glad that Bethesda is going to be doing press conferences from here on in. They need to grow more. Because what's going to happen the year they don't have the big Bethesda game? They don't have
Fallout.
Yeah, they don't have Fallout or Elder Scrolls 7, then
Doom. Yeah.
Evil Within 2 isn't, that'll mean something to me and Ben, because we like Mikami a lot.
Thirded.
And William, and Shake or whatever, but
I actually kind of hope Tango does something new.
Yeah, and not rough.
I think
something new and not...
Yeah.
I just got Evil Within.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sale.
but they have machine games too, so
yeah, they have machine games, but that's not a closer at the same time. Again, we're gonna like them, but
if you don't like Wolfenstein: The New Order, get out.
Well, yeah,
I bought that on Steam stuff too.
It's a fun game. What I'm saying is there's a difference between the closers and the games. Yeah. As Ben described it when we were talking earlier, there's the hardcore guns and then there's the big gun that's the seller. Whether we look at, I like shitting on Halo as much as anyone, or Destiny as much as anyone.
Speaking of which.
Destiny is sadly a big gun because it sold so much fucking money.
It's almost like you have to end, your conference on, an FF7 remake or some shit.
No. Maybe you shouldn't end on those.
It's not big enough.
It's not big enough. Uncharted 4 is big enough, though. Spoiler alert. Anyway, so that was Bethesda. Like I said, I really like the way it was presented. I want more like this compared to what we got. So
I like that we actually had
gameplay demos
that enjoyed being on stage and were not feeding us corporate bullshit.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
Or at least that are much better at feeding us corporate bullshit.
And if they were feeding us corporate bullshit, they rehearsed it so well that I didn't know it was corporate bullshit. Yeah. So props to you, Todd Howard.
Yeah,
props to you.
Yeah. And Todd Howard, to me, always came off as a chill dude. Everyone gets so oh my god, he makes it... First of all, just because a man might make a bad game or two does not suddenly make him an awful human being. David Chaffee's pretty chill. I don't like any of his games. Likewise, Itagaki makes pretty cool games. He can be kind of a dick. Although I like him specifically because he's kind of a dick. Kind of a dick. I don't think he's all... I don't think
people's
he's
games are clearly indicative of their personalities.
Yeah, they're just as awful as their games.
Same with actors.
Devil's Third trailer?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Itagaki's games are definitely indicative, especially Dead or Alive, was indicative of his desire to shit on Tekken.
Anyway.
And his love for breasts, which was...
We'll have plenty of time to talk about the rest of E3
Yeah, we'll have plenty of time to talk about E3 tomorrow. I think Chris, you're gonna lose this one. I think most of us came out of this thinking, most of the group came out of this thinking, yeah, Doom was fun. Fallout 4 was there.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Dishonored 2 will be a cool game.
People who like those games are going to be happy.
What?
Which seems like a lot of those people.
Yeah, Fallout 4 is going to sell. The people who for anyone that's a big Bethesda game fan, you might as well ignore me and William. If we're turned off by the game, you're getting exactly what you want.
What you want, yes.
Fallout Shelter seems like a good free-to-play game.
Yeah. So, good on Bethesda, good start to E3. We'll come back to you with the next podcast on Microsoft.
Can't wait to see what happens Monday.
Yeah, can't wait to... We literally recorded this on Monday. You're listening to this on a Tuesday.
I wonder if The Last Guardian will show up, guys.
Oh, my God. Fuck you. We are out.
Peace.